Live now.
Cool. All right, then let's start. I hope we already have some people joining. I think otherwise they will probably join within the next minutes. So welcome everyone to our Tuesday's community event. We will be streaming this one as well on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitch. So in case you want to share it with your friends, colleagues, or whoever, feel free to do so. Also, for the ones who didn't hear it before, this event is also recorded, and the videos are probably publicly shared. So if you don't want to be on camera, then feel free to switch off your camera now. Otherwise, we will be starting. So our today's talk is about how to test your ideas and save resources, and we'll learn about validation techniques in practice. We will talk with Piotr from Tidio, and he will start his presentation shortly. Before that, let me just introduce myself. My name is Friederike. Shorter Friederike is quite long. I've been working in product management for the last 4 years, also did some sales before. I have a background in business administration, and the last 4 years I've been working for different B2C and B2B clients. In July, almost already, I joined Product People. So with Product People, we also were on different clients in different industries. So yeah, as the nature of our company is, we're always exposed to a lot of different clients in short time. That's also a different background. You can see it better here on this slide. About Product People, shortly what we do, we help companies discover and deliver great products faster. We do this through 2 different ways. One is our 40 in-house product managers that act on an interim basis. So we come in as product managers or product ops or product leaders, at least for 3 months, sometimes even longer, mostly longer actually, as long as you need us. And the second part is our community. We're now more than 20,000 members in our community already. So part of our community is also this event that you're just seeing now. We do this every Tuesday. And we also recently just launched a podcast. So make sure to also follow our podcast if you haven't done yet. Before we start the presentation, we would like to get some warm-up questions to your way. So to find out how familiar you already are with validation techniques. So the first question is, how often do you map your assumptions? Never, rarely, often, or every time. And the second question, when do you validate your assumptions? Never, when they're risky and you have low confidence. Every time they are risky, or every time you have low confidence. So if you are in Zoom, you should have a screen popping up now where you can see the questions and answer them. If you are on one of the other streaming services, feel free to leave your answer in there. I'm not sure if I should be seeing the answers on my screen now, but I can't. Oh, now, here we go. All right, so 50% often, that's great. And when do you validate your assumptions? 71%, which is the highest number, when they are risky and you have low confidence. Well, that's good that 0% said never. I think that's a very good way to go already, but I'm sure we'll find out more about the hows and whens from Piotr in a second. Cool. And yeah, without further ado, I'm heading over then to Piotr. He's a senior product manager at Tidio, and I think you can take it from there and introduce yourself. Oops, sorry.
Okay, hi guys. So I guess it's my time to share the screen. I'm just waiting for Eureka to stop sharing. My name is Piotr, and I'm a senior product manager in Tidio. And I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about how to test your ideas and save resources, as Vika already said. Over the next 25, 30 minutes, I'm gonna tell you about the miserable fail I've had and where it got me and how I try to avoid similar mistakes in the future. But before we start, I want to talk to you a little bit about the company I work for. So I'm product manager at Tidio, and Tidio is a customer service platform for small and medium businesses. We have an omni-channel solution with chats, help desk system, and AI chatbots, and we help our customers compete with big companies, helping them increase sales and answer customer requests quickly and keep them satisfied. So that's enough about the company. Let's get straight into the chase. So in the situation we are in right now, we really need growth. And our main job is actually growing our product and by proxy growing our company. But there is one thing that's a problem with it, and that it's expensive. That growing our product is very, very expensive. And recently I talked to a CEO of one of the big Polish tech companies. And he told me that we need to look at ourselves as portfolio managers. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we understand this thing, the better it will be for us. Because we are actually making investments, with investing lots of money, and we need to see a return on these investments soon, especially in a situation where we are in right now, with economic downturn coming, and lots of things impacting this growth. So why is it expensive? As we all know, customer acquisition cost rises with ads being more and more expensive. Outreach conversion falls. We need to send more and more emails just to get anyone to buy into our platform. And development costs are high, with development wages rising. Even with the growth of no-code tools, it is still very expensive to grow our products. So how can we grow cheaply? How can we make sure that we grow, not investing too many resources? And if you look at Google and search for it, most of the tips are connected to marketing. So we can address main customer pains with our product. We can focus on content to avoid paying for AdSense and for ads. We can focus on churn and retention instead of bringing new customers and paying for this acquisition. We can develop a referral program and lots of different tips. But I have a simpler one for you, and it's stupidly simple. So we just need to make good decisions with our product. But how we can make good decisions? And here I have another stupid example, and bear with me, we just need to avoid bad decisions. And I want to focus on what this bad decision is. But to tell you that, I want to go a few years back to tell you a little bit about myself. Here's where the failure part comes in. So this is me a few years back, starting my journey as a product manager, very stringy, TD-looking guy. And you wouldn't believe that this guy costed a startup a lot of money. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. So I worked in a SaaS company, and we had the CRM for managing journalist relationships. So we helped companies, especially small ones, get coverage in the media. So we allowed you to create a customized list and then send out pitches to contact specific journalists and try to get them to cover you in Forbes, in Bloomberg, whatever. And I followed the playbook when I started working. So I talked to lots of people trying to understand where the problem is, talk to head of sales, head of customer support, and lots of customers. I got lots of notes. I got 5 notebooks full of information that I gathered. And there is one information that really stood out. And this one information was that people want to receive replies from journalists in our platform. So if they build a list, if they send out the speech to journalists, they also want to see who replied and what these replies were without going to their own inbox, to their Gmail, etc. And based on that, we had one assumption that if I want to receive these emails, we also want to send individual emails from our platform. And it follows a very logical flow. So you send out a pitch, you collect the responses in our platform, and you answer these journalists personally to make sure that you get this coverage. So you send out 100 pitches, you get 10 responses, and then you talk to these people personally to make sure that you get this coverage. But in order to make it personal, very reasonable assumption that you also want to send it from your own domain, from your own email, making it look more personal. Because if you look at the email on the right, it doesn't look that great. It doesn't look like somebody is talking to you on a personal level. So we really wanted to give people the feel of this being a real person, not just some email sender. So it's a very reasonable assumption that we would want to do that. And we sat down, we decided that we need people to send emails from their own email address. So we discussed how long it's gonna take us. We talked to developers, to the CTO, and we realized the whole project is gonna take us at least 6 months. And this not counting a lot of time for customers to set it up. So, but it was fine, we knew that we want to do that. So I sat down, I wrote hundreds and hundreds of given when then cases. I sat down with the designer, we designed lots of different screens to make sure that we comply with this given when then cases. We developed the feature, we were super excited for launch, and then we got 0 users, unfortunately. And at that point, I got a little bit anxious. I didn't know what's happening. The assumptions I had were very reasonable. The first need I learned was very easy. Lots of customers told us about. But I knew what the problem is, obviously. So you needed to authorize your email, as I said, add port details, set up server address, change server security setting, lots of stuff that you need to do as a user. So basically just setup was tough. And that's the thing we decided to focus on. So I sat down with the designer, we designed new screens, we talked to development, we introduced new flow that's gonna be much easier to activate. Everyone was excited for launch, we were super happy. And again, we got 0 users. At that point, I got like really, really anxious. I really didn't know what's happening. But we realized that we just didn't have any activation tactics. We didn't have any places in our product that will tell customers that we have this new feature. So we sat down with the designer, we found few places that we can push our feature in. We talked to developers, we developed few of these tactics, and finally we got 3 users, and that was an amazing feeling. If not for the fact that these 3 users were me, my main developer, and the designer that just landed in our mixed funnel amplitude just because we were testing the solution. So overall, I have spent 6 months on development. I involved several developers. We designed dozens of screens with my designer, and I spent over $150,000 on this feature that gave 0 business impact. So now since then, I was always asking myself, how can I avoid mistakes like this? What can I do to make sure that mistakes like this don't happen, that the investments I make will actually bring a return? So the answer is validation and validation techniques. And what validation is, it's a way to gather proof around your ideas before implementing them, or put it simply, making sure that we actually know what we think we know and verifying the assumptions that we have. And for that, I have a very simple 3-step framework. But before we go into that, let's ask ourselves how we can validate. So we want to make mistakes cheaply. We don't want to make huge investments, and we can achieve it with lean development and delivering value as fast as possible so we can learn in the shortest amount of time possible. And how we do that? First of all, we ask questions and we try to question our assumptions that we have and actually understand that most of the things that we talk about in product management are assumptions. And in my case, these assumptions were that customers will send emails from our service and that they care about how this email address looks like, that they're willing to invest resources into connecting this email, and also that they have skills to integrate their emails, or that the problem is actually activation, that it's not lack of value. So there are lots of assumptions that I have made and lots of assumptions that I would have verified. And now going a little bit more broadly, so you can ask yourself, is our product marketable to this audience? Are customers willing to pay for the solution? And does the solution fit the problem? So in other words, have we achieved solution problem fit or problem solution fit? And even more broadly, how do I know what I think I know? And I think a part of being a good product manager is constantly asking yourself that question. But once we have these questions, we want to find the riskiest assumption. And why do I want to do that? I always like looking at this as a Jenga game. So if we have all of these assumptions stacked together like blocks of Jenga, if we have one that's unstable and we pull it and this assumption is false, then the whole tower topples. And it doesn't matter what's on top of that. We always need to focus on this one most unstable block to make sure that the tower stands still. And for that, I have a very simple framework, and it's a riskiest assumption finder. And what you do is you lay out all of your assumptions on the screen, and then ask yourself which one is the riskiest one and which one you have already validated. So let's say we start the process from the beginning. We have these few questions like, will customers be willing to pay for it? That we will be able to market it to our audience, the people that are using our product, and that we understand who this audience actually is. And then we try to find the riskiest one. And how we find the riskiest one, we try to focus on the impact. So the less we know and the less certain we are about something, and the more impact it can have, the more investment it requires, we put it on the bottom as the riskiest assumption. And then once we have validated that one, we just move it over to already validated and try to find the next riskiest assumption. And constantly moving up this way makes sure that we actually can confirm or defy some of the things that we think we do know. So then how do we verify it to find the next riskiest assumption, and how we can close this loop to start another cycle? So let's go to verification. And I'm going to give you 3 examples that we have actually used in Tidio to make sure that we actually know the things that we assume. So first of all, let's ask ourselves, does your audience have the problem? And for this, we used a fake door or painted door test, as some people might call it. So it's a situation where you just paint the door and you try to see how many people yank the door, trying to get through. And if I actually want to be on the other side, it means that you are onto something. So how we use it in our product is that, as you know, we're an omni-channel solution, and we want to give people as many channels to communicate through as possible, and do it all from our platform, from Tidio. So here you can connect basically any channel that you want and communicate through any channel, but one of them is actually false. And if you click on the screen, you will see that we ask you to be added to the waitlist. And once you want to do that, we will ask you, why do you want to use Google reviews? And then maybe you want to tell us something more. And this way we can gather the data based on clicks and analytics tools. We can analyze all of this information and then talk to specific customers that have requested this feature, because we have a huge list of customers with their email addresses that actually asked us to do that. And also what we can do is kind of segment these customers to make sure that we understand what group of customers will want to use this specific feature. and then find this target audience by extrapolating the information we have about the people that already clicked this paint and door test. And this way we can kind of verify our product market fit or future product fit, that this is something that customers will actually use. And based on that, we realized that 2 out of 3 assumptions that we have made were wrong. So I didn't tell you the whole truth from the beginning, because there are actually 3 fake doors here that we have implemented in a very short amount of time. And based on that, we realized that only the Google reviews was something that customers were really interested in. So this is something that worked for us very well, and we were able to develop it in a short way. But one bonus tip is to be precise and be specific when you talk about this kind of painted door test. Why? Because we already had one for a while. And if you look at the bottom of integration part, you can see add another integration button. And if you click on it, you will get a prompt asking you what integration would you want. But if your customer is asked to kind of imagine the future with your product and how they would use it, it requires much more mental effort and also much more investment from their side to make sure that they actually put their information in. So based on that, we got 3 times better conversion with being precise and specific when using fake doors than just letting people answer their own question. Like, how would you imagine using Tidio, or what integration would you want to use in the future? But let's say we already know that customers want to use or want to solve the problem. The next question is, if we solve it, will they pay for the solution? And for that, we use dry wallet technique. So what we knew already about our customers is that they want to have some more information about their customers. So if somebody comes and asks us or our customers about sneakers, we want to know whether they have received a newsletter with some coupon code that we can help them with so that they can pay less and be more satisfied. Or we can look at the products they have seen before just to make sure that we propose something that will work for them well, that they actually, the sneakers that they actually want to wear. So we knew that there is this need, talking to customers countless times, but we didn't know if it's something valuable for us to build, because solving the problem is just one part. So we added this button for viewing the profile, and if you clicked on it, you saw the screen where we told you what problems we're going to solve, and then asked customers to pay a specific amount for this feature, and then ask them to sign up for the feature, telling them how much they will have to pay. Some products go even further, just asking you to input the card to make sure that they actually are willing to do that. We skip this part to make our customers satisfied, especially considering how many tests like this do we run every quarter or every month. But once you clicked on it, we already understood that this is something that you will be willing to pay. And this allows us to size the market, check for willingness to pay, and make sure that customers are willing to pay for these solutions, and also understand price points. Because if you go back, you can see that this $40 is just a string that you can switch. So you can run 3 tests at the same time, not only 40, but have 20, 40, $60, for example, and look at conversion rate for every of these price points. So if you see a high conversion for $20 and quite high conversion for 40, but the conversion drops before $60, you can understand that probably how much they're willing to pay is a little bit over 40, a little bit less than $60 a month. And if the conversion is super high on 20, but drops by the time you reach 40, it probably means that they are willing to pay something between $20 and $40. So just by changing these values and recording them, you can already understand how many people are willing to pay. And then let's say we have already found the problem. We know that there is audience for it, and we know that they're willing to pay for the solution. The problem is that sometimes what we build is not exactly what customers want. So for that, we have a concierge MVP, and me as a product manager for a help desk system, I knew that people want to use analytics in tickets. As a manager, I want to understand how well my operators are performing, how my customer success reps are performing, and I want to make sure that they're doing well. But there are lots of metrics that you can measure it by. You can check how many support tickets somebody handles in one day. You can see how fast do they respond. You can look at customer satisfaction. So our assumption was that metrics we choose will work for our customers. And we have found a set of metrics based on different expert knowledge that usually customer success team use to understand how well their teams are performing. And then instead of building analytics for them immediately, we decided to add to analytics tab our ticketing, small ticketing tab, but when you clicked on it, we didn't give you analytics page. What we gave you is weekly reports with information about your customer team, asking you what kind of information do you want. And based on the information they gave us through the survey, we allowed them to sign up for analytics, and then I manually prepared the report for them using a small Python script, and then analyzed the feedback from these customers. So every time we send a report, we got some information back. We understood whether this is something that works for them, and we could tune it before releasing a full feature. And based on that, we could understand customer needs and test our hypothesis without adding too much scale. Because what we have built was actually just 2 days instead of a whole month of development, or even more than whole month of development. So we built an MVP 15 times cheaper than we would have otherwise. And this allows us to fail fast and learn very quickly, because bad ideas, they just don't need scale. The smallest you can fail, the better product manager you will be. So how to do that? First, you ask questions, asking yourself, how do I know what I think I know? And then you try to find this riskiest assumption using, for example, riskiest assumption finder, taking into account both the impact, how much it might topple my tower, and also confidence, how certain I am that it will not, and then verify it using these techniques that I showed you, but there are many, many more. If you want to learn about them a little bit more, just text me on LinkedIn or ask a question right here. And that's all for today from me. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna reshare my screen. All right. Going to the Q&A part. So before we do that, I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about us, so you have time to gather your questions. I'll be very quick, but this will give you some time to once again maybe rethink of what you were just listening to and come up with some questions that you would like to ask Piotr. Yeah, as I just said, just quickly about us. At Product People, I gave a quick introduction at the beginning, what we do, so a little bit more about the use cases or when to engage us. So basically, one option would be an interim product manager. So for example, permanent position covers if hiring is taking too long, also for parental leave covers, or if there's any important or urgent initiative. Then another use case would be product coach or consultant. So for example, as product program or product ops manager, where we can coach your product management team or streamline the processes that you have internally. So basically to help you go from 0 to 1 and scale. And also another use case would be doing product discovery. So if there's any discovery needed for the next impactful initiative or product, we can do the market user research, or also run low or no code pilot or MVP. So this was when to engage us. What we're not doing is we are not recruiters. So we won't source any candidates. We can share your role with our community as you saw at the beginning, we have quite a big community. But yeah, we're not recruiting. We also are not a freelance marketplace, so we're all full-time involved with product people. It's not that there's like people coming in and out, but we're actually a team. We're going through a recruitment process, and we are also developing within the company. And also, we're not a development design agency, so we're really specialized on product management. We don't have devs, we don't have any designers. Obviously, now we have quite a big network, so whenever there's also a need, we can help find someone, but in general, we only do the product management part here. Here are some of our B2C clients. I think most of them are quite known to everyone, or should be quite known to everyone, especially if you live within Germany. Some of you might have seen probably these logos, and the B2B clients as well. As you can see, there's also big organizations such as the World Health Organization, and all kinds of different industries and background. We also get a lot of positive feedback from our clients, so they're always happy about our fast onboarding, how quickly we understand the topic, and in general, the team gets feedback from internal teams about like how well they integrate. So yeah, just a few positive feedback excerpts here that you can see. A few stats about product people. So we have been on 200 cross-functional teams so far. Or we supported 200 cross-functional teams with more than 70 clients. We are 40 product leaders and product managers at the moment, as I mentioned also at the beginning. And we're very proud also that 60% of our team are women and 66% are even in leadership. So we're also very diverse team. Yeah, here you can see pictures of our team. As you can see here in the lower corner, there's still a place free. So we're always happy for new people in our team to join. We're currently hiring for business development representative and growth and partnership manager and junior account executive. Also for the product manager, we're not actively hiring, but you're always encouraged to still send an application and be added to the talent pool in case there's a need later. You can then be picked from that talent pool. Cool. Yes, thank you for listening. We're now coming to the Q&A session. So let's see if there are already some questions, quite a few. Okay. Let's start with the first one. Weren't users disappointed after the empty wallet example? How ended that user journey? Interesting question.
Yeah, amazing question, because this is something that you really need to be concerned about when running tests like this. And you always need to account for some dissatisfaction when something like this happens. So you kind of pay with this broken flow for the knowledge you get every time you run tests like this. So what we did, we informed customers, sorry, we're not ready, but we're going to contact you as soon as possible to get something to ask you a few more questions. And actually, most of the customers that we talked to were very satisfied, even though they didn't know in the beginning of Dry Wallet that it's not going to work. We're really happy to be listened to, but that's why we also run it just for a small amount of customers. It wasn't for everyone, trying to kind of gouge this dissatisfaction. And yeah, it does impact satisfaction in some way. And you need to be very careful when I test like this. Doesn't matter if they're fake door tests or dry wallets or whatever else.
Cool, thank you. I think this question came from Gabriele. Anything you want to add here? Did this answer your question?
Perfectly answered, thank you.
Cool. Next question, Ivan, maybe I can give you the mic. You want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. So I'm curious, can you repeat, please, how you measured the value that your customers received from the weekly emails in the concierge MVP case?
Yeah, so we send out those emails, and I send them personally. And I asked each customer that I send an email to, hi, this is what we have prepared for you. Does this satisfy your needs? And when we got information, okay, I'm lacking this thing, or I'm lacking something else. For example, we had metrics only for the whole team and measure the performance of the whole team. But then soon enough, we realized that some customers really wanted to see performance of every customer rep, and they replied to the emails and they answered them. Also, in the end of the presentation that I prepared, there was a link just asking them for feedback if they have any, but most of this I actually got via email because it was sent from my personal email address.
Okay.
So the information you get is very qualitative. It's usually not quantitative. It's very I have yet to find a way to qualitatively measure problem solution fit, but for us it worked very well.
Oh, cool. And you already have prepared people for face-to-face interviews, right, about this feature?
Yes, absolutely. Whenever they told us that there is something that we're lacking, I could also I am always trying to reach out to my customers and talk to them as much as possible. I aim for like 1, 2, 3 interviews weekly, just trying to keep in touch with them. And that was also one of the way of trying to get to know them a little bit better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from Mohammed. Do you also want to unmute yourself and ask the question that you sent in the chat?
Sure. Thank you for the talk. It was very interesting. I was just curious about this, getting the customer's willingness to pay. Is there like specific tool that you use, or is it just running some experiments until getting to the right spot, or how did you proceed with that?
Yeah, it's much more just running several experiments than actually trying to find this right away. So you can just switch this information and then, for example, funnel it into Amplitude based on the information that there is, or mixed funnel, or whatever analytics tool you choose. You can add it as a property, for example, saying value 20, 40, 60, or whatever, and then see the conversion for every different experiment that you're running. So that's basically what we did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice, thank you. The next question is from Przemek. Sorry if I don't pronounce it correctly. This comes via YouTube. Guilty until proven innocent. That's a good approach. Don't you think that this approach's dark side is being less open for bold bets and innovative solutions?
Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. Don't you think that this approach's dark side is being less open for bold bets and innovative solution?
For both innovative and?
Bold bets and innovative solutions.
Absolutely. So I think that's just a part of the process. So I think if we focus on these incremental changes, of course, that's a part of it. But some of this it's also a way of just verifying these bets. So by having these validation techniques, you can be very bold with your assumptions as long as you can kind of prove them right. And the solutions and the techniques we have right here were, of course, just part of incremental improvements to the product. But if you can find something else, and there is this one very famous example of what Buffer did. They just created a website telling you can manage your social media through them. And they just said, whenever you wanted to sign up, they just said, oh, sorry, we don't have it yet. We don't have a platform at all. So you can you can actually go very bold with your assumptions and then verify them as you go as well. And I think it actually connects a little bit to the next question. If I can just move to Gabrielle's question, if it's fine with you.
Yeah, sure.
So Gabrielle asked, can you share other techniques? Is there any recommended reading about the topic you can share? So there is actually a very cool thing created by Anders Toksbe from Learning Loop mentorship program. That I'm part of this mentorship program as well as a mentor. And there are just a set of cards that you can use to validate your ideas, and lots of different ideas. So for example, it doesn't always have to be fake door or dry wallet. It can also just be a fake website, or even one of my friends run fake Google ads trying to see how many clicks he will have for a specific product. So it allows for this. I think it allows for this boldness, but without moving, without direction. And of course, I'm going to share the link with you as well to the Learning Loop cards. You can download them for free. So I'm sharing it in Zoom.
Cool, thank you so much. There is one more question from Arena on YouTube. How do your users discover new fake door features? Do you use in-product messaging or emails to announce them? Or you launch them silently?
So it really depends. Most of the time, we just give ourselves enough time to gather this traffic organically, because it lets us also compare with the data we have by default. So let's say we have this new integration coming up, as I said, with Google Maps, Google Reviews. And if we try to inform people about it, we will get more information, we'll get more people trying to click through it, for example. But that kind of skews the data to what we want to see. So I think you can do that as well if you want to validate, for example, like this very bold idea, just trying to understand whether people will be interested at all. Sometimes we use our dashboard for information, like we have this new feature coming up, sign up for beta wish list. So there are very different approaches. I think both of them work depending on what you want to achieve, but usually it's more of a silent thing and trying to understand how this behavior with this fake door compares to a normal behavior of a customer.
Cool. Thank you so much. So I think there are no more questions. No, you answered all of them. Thank you so much for this talk, Piotr. I think we all learned a lot about validation techniques today and how to validate our ideas and don't cost a lot of money to the company. If there's no other question, I think then this is it for today. So thank you very much. Yeah, make sure also to join us for our next events. You can find them on Meetup. We also announce them on LinkedIn and all platforms. As I mentioned before, check out our new podcast. You won't regret it. It's really great. We already have, I think, 4 or even 5 episodes there. We have great speakers. So yeah, make sure to always join our community events, and looking forward to see you here very soon.
Thank you very much, guys. It was nice speaking to you.